Luxor starts first of its kind Bitcoin mining rig marketplace for large scale orders. Now, this is the kind of building you kind of want to see from these companies, Bitcoin mining companies, in the bear market, where they're able to do some innovative stuff. Innovation in the bear market is next to nil, right? Like talking about it earlier, a lot of the tools that we use, a lot of the miners that we use, uh, a lot of the operating systems that we use for this entire industry all of a sudden just start disappearing, right? If you look at like minor releases, we're getting very few and far between. The giants that used to be are no longer, right? The giants during ETH mining are going the way of the dinosaur or disappearing completely. We saw this with Phoenix Miner previous cycle. And we're kind of starting to see that with some previously, more developed miners this cycle. I'll hold who I think is going to quit developing until we really get into the next cycle. I can tell you that there are a few impressive ones that continue to uh, be innovating and adding new support. Right now, off the top of my head, BZ Miner and LOL Miner seem to be doing very good in this manner. But then there's also like, pools that are closing down, all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of par for the course on any halving. So I wouldn't say that it is purely due to the move of Ethereum to proof of stake, despite what, I think the larger consensus would like to tell you. It does appear that there seems to be this complete blindness to the halving cycle by a majority of spectators, I suppose, retail investors. That is quite concerning that because it is so clear and blatant. That they still, and I don't know if it's an actual, like, they literally don't have any knowledge of it, or if it's more of a hopium thing where it's like, well, yeah, there is the halving cycle, but really I think what affected is ABC or XYZ. And it seems like that's kind of like the way it is, where it's like, this whole talk of like a 45K, it's like we're gonna completely ignore, historical data on the halving and how that affects the price of Bitcoin, and say that, base it off of this other metric, which is if the price is up in January, it'll be up by 200% by December. It's like, no, because even in your own statement here, you said that that the only other time that it's gone down was in 2014, which is part of the halving cycle. So you completely like disprove your own theory right there, which is quite wild. And then like when we look at like a lot of people on the mining front, especially GPU mining, GPU mining's dead. We're going to sell all of our GPUs. And look, there can be arguments for that. But on the upside, what I would tell you guys is that this isn't really any different to the last halving cycle early on in the bear market, right? I would say that due to energy costs, it might be exacerbated a little bit, but the mining market has been like this before, even on the GPU side, even when Ethereum was still around, right? So that is kind of the positive I would give you there. The market for mining machines is increasingly flooded with inventory from struggling companies. Bitcoin mining services firm Luxor Technology is starting the industry's first unified marketplace for new mining machines so that buyers and sellers can directly connect through a request for quote system. The crypto mining market is flooded with stock offloaded by struggling companies. The marketplace comes when thousands of discontinued machines have further overwhelmed an already inundated market. In 2022, the industry did not have enough infrastructure to plug machines into and start bringing in revenue, so hundreds of thousands of machines were left unused. As the bear market hit the sector, miners started selling more machines, further depressing the prices. The price of mining rigs has dropped about 85% in the past year from Luxor data. In the new platform, buyers and sellers can create requests for machines in an open bid system and directly negotiate prices. Currently, the market operates primarily through brokers, including Luxor. That is an opaque and regionally fragmented market, end quote, that Luxor's RFQ system will unify, thereby improving price discovery and increasing liquidity in the secondary market, the firm said in a Wednesday press release. Obviously, this is pretty cool. Now, Compass Mining also aggregates listings for mining rigs on sale on a separate platform. However, the volume is small, with listings mostly ranging between 1 to 10 machines. And that's because really what Compass Mining did is quite different than what Luxor Mining does as far as their target demographic. And if you've talked to either one of the companies, that becomes very obvious. Like, it became obvious to me that Luxor was a little bit different when I met them at up in Wisconsin, and as well as at the crypto mining conference. Whereas, like, when you talk about like how Compass's business model, which is basically selling machines and hosting machines to individuals, puts it at a much lower throughput. And so, I mean, that is going to be advantageous for individual miners, like smaller miners like myself or something like that. If I'm just trying to build out myself, maybe Compass Mining is the way to go to find these rigs to buy on, for cheap between 1 to 10 machines. But if you're really trying to stand up like large farms with like, 1 to even like, let's say small large farms, I don't know how you put that. Large investment, smaller farms like 1 to 5 megawatts, that sort of thing, where you want to be buying, hundreds of machines. This sounds like it's going to be a big deal, right? It does say that Luxor will take a commission from the party that responds to the request, whether as a seller or a buyer, which will also encourage market making on the platform, said Colin Harper, there we go, head of content and research at Luxor. About $1.6 million worth of deals have closed so far on the first day of the platform's operation. Bankruptcies of giants in the space, including Celsius Mining and Core Scientific, could mean more mining rigs for sale. Before, buyers and sellers relied on a patchwork of venues to buy and sell mining hardware. Now they can observe offers, listings, and settlement prices all in one place, which improves pricing transparency and expedites the mining hardware procurement process, Luxor Operations Manager Lauren Lynn said in the press release. Now, I think this is much needed for sure, especially like right now, if you want to purchase like I would like to see one that is more obviously for, look, I get it. Like, buying these things in bulk is going to get you an advantage in general. Today's sponsor is BT Miners. BT Miners has been a long-time sponsor of the channel and a proven reliable source for ASIC miners. If you're looking to purchase ASIC hardware from Bitcoin to Dogecoin miners, they are available for purchase on bt-miners.com. BT Miners is a trusted source by both ASICminervalue.com and CryptoMiner.com. Follow the affiliate link in the description and tell them SOT sent you to support the channel. But like I've said in the past, like the biggest downside for me when we get into like ASIC mining versus GPU mining is that at this point, mining feels like you price out the little guy. And the thing is that mining was the best opportunity to basically start practicing the basics of investing in essentially assets and generating revenue off of those assets at a much smaller level, right? Whereas if you want to get into anything else, you want to get into like hedge funds, you want to get into, like obviously real estate, something along those lines, the barrier to entry is much higher, right? And now it is starting to feel like the barrier to entry is much higher in mining, right? Even if we got into the argument of, well, you can buy some used ASICs for, pretty cheap, or you can buy the latest greatest Bitcoin mining ASIC for $4,000. Yeah, you can buy that for $4,000, but your ROI is still over 1,000 days, right? So you almost have to do it at scale. And that makes it very difficult. It's not like going and purchasing an RX 580 for $200 and starting to mine on that and buying a second one and a third one and a fourth one, a fifth one. It's not like it used to be. I don't know that for sure we'll never go back to that, right? But it definitely feels like we could possibly not go back to that. Whereas, like, where's the lights at the end of the tunnels? There's the flux, right? That will remain GPU mineable. Obviously, with proof of useful work on the way in which you do that will be changed significantly, meaning that you are going to have to start worrying about PCIe lanes, right? And that's been pretty much confirmed by Daniel. So even if it does end up being flux, my point would be is that your barrier to entry will still be higher due to proof of useful work requiring higher end parts beyond just the GPUs, right? We're talking about needing Threadrippers now to run all of the GPUs, We're not talking about Celeron dual core processors with 8x1 PCIe lanes. We're talking about, Threadripper on by 8 PCI lanes needing, and then running 4 of them and having to buy, like, basically for every 4 having to buy another Threadripper motherboard. So it's going to be a little different if it goes the flux route. Just heads up there. If you go the Ergo route and that starts to pump because there becomes issues within the smart contract systems that are currently proof of stake, then that could be a possibility. The only reason I have doubt there in particular is specifically due to the fact that there is a pretty close relationship between Cardano and Ergo. And I'm not exactly sure why, and I'm just kind of curious where that goes from a competitive standpoint. Especially with the whole weird trade between Hoskinson and the Ethereum Classic Foundation Twitter. There's stuff there that seems to be clouded in mystery that I'm not really certain of. Meaning, if the statement is Ergo's the only ground up, right? Because this is what I say. Ergo's the only ground up proof of work competitor to Ethereum, right? And that by and large part, like, obviously still remains true. It's just how much influence does this proof of stake coin known as Cardano have over it, right? What is that relationship? I hope it's just for Sigma protocols, right? And that's really what it's about. And all Charles is really trying to get out of it is, Sigma protocols. That's what I would hope for. But these are the things that bounce around in my head. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.